Hey, so it's the dead of night and I'm just walking around my house right now. I, there's a park here where you can just run, take a jog. And I think if I bump into someone running right now, they'll probably think I'm really weird because I'm talking to the camera. But so I'm walking here and I was thinking of discussing a topic that I've been thinking about talking about for a while. It's just how I learned to sing. I don't think I'm qualified to become like a vocal coach or something right now, but I think I did go through a lot just to get to where I am. I'm not necessarily the best, and you'll see that when I go off pitch or off rhythm in my songs and some of my older covers, which I think they sound better than my current ones. There was some auto-tuning on it. But what happened was that when I was younger, I couldn't even sing in pitch. I don't know if that's hard to believe or it's totally easy to believe because you think I suck. But yeah, in the beginning, I really couldn't even match a note. So if you gave me a da, I would be like da or something, I don't know. Or rather, I would be a bit flat and it would sound roughly like the song, but I wouldn't know. And when I tried to sing songs to other people, when I'd be like, hey, this is the Justice League song, and they'd be like, what? What song is that? Maybe I don't recognize it because it's so out of tune. And people would keep telling me that, hey, you're completely out of tune, you're terrible. And I really wanted to sing because my cousin had showed me this video of Adam Lambert on American Idol, and I thought, wow, that's so cool. I want to learn how to sing like that. And so I kept trying and trying. I think I started with "It's Too Late to Apologize" or something like that, and sent it to someone. He said, you're not tone deaf, but it wasn't exactly in tune. And I think during church, I sang for a choir. No, they let anyone in, right? So I sang a bit. At the audition, my friends were just laughing at the side. They couldn't take it. It was so bad. So I really tried to learn, and I'm really thankful that my cousin helped me out, listened to me, and all that. And eventually I learned that there was this thing called pitch. And if you wanted to sing, you had to be able to match pitch. So pitch is, for those who don't know, it's just the note, It's why someone sounds out of tune, because they don't match the pitch. So if I want to sing, if someone sings that, then I want to match it. I would just say, again, sing that back to them. I couldn't do that at the time. So what would happen is my cousin would sing me a note, and I'd be like, all right, let me try to match that. He'd be like, then I'd be like, he's like a bit lower, and then he'd be like, no, go up. But I just couldn't get it at first, until one day what happened was I sang in front of a fan, and when you sing in front of a fan, you'll hear that robotic sound. Then I realized that's what resonance sounds like, what it sounds like when you sing together with someone else. So once you sing together with someone else and the pitch matches, there's this feeling, it's a buzz in the air. And with that, I was able to calibrate my ears a bit more. So I would sing that real, kind of flat thing where my cousin would go, then I'd be like, then I would just keep going up until I felt the buzz in the air. And yeah, then, that was kind of the start. And after that, because I felt like I couldn't sing, I couldn't learn how to sing in pitch, I thought, I need to learn how to get perfect pitch. It was a huge leap, but I tried that. So I think I downloaded a course by Lucas David Burge or something like that. David Burge, Burge. You can Google him, where he teaches you how to get perfect pitch. And honestly, the course was a lot of fluff. maybe like this video, but it was not a lot of getting to the point. It was just, you know, this is what we taught you, that you gotta hear pitch in different colors, but colors aren't colors. Colors are actually feelings or textures. So whatever he said, I think it was a few hours, the point was that different pitches, especially on instruments, have a different feel to them. And the most obvious one was the pitch of E, which on the piano, if you play it, it'll have this twang to it. So it's like, ba-ding, ba-ding. Yeah, which isn't that great when you're listening to a voice, because every voice sounds completely different, but it was a start. So, like, if you play a C on the piano, it'll be like C, and then if you play E, it'll be E, you know. And if you hear that dung, it sounds like an ending or something. It sounds like, yeah, the end. And that was the start. I just used that and I memorized different pitches from there, and I realized it was possible. So I had this electric keyboard. I didn't really know how to play it back then, so I play the C key and I play the E key, and I tried the D key. What I did was, you're supposed to listen out to each pitch and figure out what the color is or what the quality is on the piano. And I don't know how it got to this, but what I eventually did instead of doing that was I found songs which corresponded to the notes I wanted. So I actually Googled a score for Phantom of the Opera, because, you know, I always made the excuse that I didn't know a lot of music and I hadn't heard music when I was young, but I don't think that's really true. And there was the Phantom of the Opera in that part where she screams. I really like really high impressive songs where she screams this high C or high B, whichever it is according to the version you hear. But it's like she'll sing a high C and then she'll end up screaming a high E. I mean, the singer sings that. So it's something. This is C, and then it's like one whole octave higher, but then she'll sing. This is the E. So I saw this on the score. So I figured out how to read the score first. I think my brother taught me. I don't really remember. So when I learned how to read the staff, I saw C was that dum, and E was the dum, and you know, the notes in between were like A, G, and B. So da 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 is A, da is C, da is B, and some stuff like that, you know, roughly. And so I did this, and eventually, after maybe a year, I had gotten a bank of 12 notes and 12 different, well, not just colors or tones, but rather songs from which the highest note or the coolest note was that note that I wanted. So for C, it was that song. For D, C, D, E, G, A, and B. So that was 6 notes, all from Phantom of the Opera. But I still had to learn the other notes, and these were mostly white notes on the piano, so I had to learn the black notes. So what I did was I listened out to other songs and also tried to gain new notes for, what was on Phantom of the Opera, because in Phantom of the Opera the notes serve a specific purpose in the song. So I think for, let's say, so I learned C, right? So C sharp, there was a song by Lady Gaga, Edge of Glory, where she goes, I'm on the edge, the is a C sharp. So that's how I remembered it. And D, I mean, I had the Phantom of the Opera because she goes up higher when she screams, but there's also an Adam Lambert song where he sang "I'm Feeling Good" on American Idol. He went, "I'm feeling that land" is a D. I think he held it for like 10 seconds or something, but one octave higher. And for D sharp, it was Katy Perry's Firework, where she sings, "'Cause baby you're a fire, babe." That babe was a D sharp or E flat. And for F, I think it was a Christian song. Yeah, it was like, "Great are you, Lord, great." That's an F. And F sharp, yeah, I think it was another Christian song. Yeah, there's something like, "I've been washed in the blood of the Lamb, the." Is that a G or an F sharp? It's the Lamb. That the was F sharp. And I think G, I learned it from Hercules. I Can Go the Distance, where his last note he holds is something like "Find My Heroes Welcome, right where I belong." I honestly don't remember the tune before that, but it was something like that. And that was where I got my G. G sharp, I eventually weaned off this, but I think it was Dynamite. Like it's dynamite, yeah, that was the G sharp. But the connection's a bit wonky because I haven't used that way of learning in a long time. Sorry I'm explaining all of these, but I think it's useful to some people if you've never tried this before. And A, besides from the Phantom of the Opera, there was also Brendan Urie's Panic at the Disco song, Ballad of Mona Lisa, where he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." That's an A. So I always remember A from that song. And the "whoa, whoa" is also a G. So I have multiple connections for one note. And A sharp was the version of DJ's Got Us Falling in Love by Usher. I think he sang one version with the B and one version with the B flat or an A sharp. But the one with an A sharp went something like, "Baby tonight, the DJ's got us falling in love again. And baby tonight, night." That's an A sharp or a B flat. And the B, I think I still mainly remembered it from Phantom of the Opera, where she goes, "Da da 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 da." No, "da da 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 no no no." Somewhere around there. That was a B. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I use that anymore. So, as you could tell, eventually, many years later, I didn't need to use the songs anymore, and I would practice a lot using pitch recognition software. I think there used to be a software called Sing and See that you could download on your computer. I don't know if that still exists, but I used that a lot last time to figure out my pitch. Now on the iPhone, I used a different app, but I forgot the name of it. So right now what I'm using on the iPhone is SingScope, SingScope. So I would really sing into that and see where my pitch is. So that was how I learned perfect pitch, but that didn't mean that I was pitch perfect. That's a different thing. So having perfect pitch means that you can name the notes if you're played them. So if someone plays me a C now, I can tell them it's a C. Or if someone sings me a G, I can tell them it's a G unless it's really unstable, or somewhere in the middle, I can probably tell you it's somewhere in between. I'm not so exact as to be able to tell you the hertz difference, which I know some people can do, and some people can tell chords. I can't, because I learned this maybe for the past 8 years. I didn't have it as a kid, it's not something that came naturally to me, or maybe I had it latent inside. I have no idea. But yeah, so I had to learn that. But of course, there's multiple other things that you require to become a good singer. And besides pitch, there was also technique and there was rhythm. Rhythm has always been my problem, but yeah, technique, that came along the way. So a lot of the time they'll tell you, you know, get good support your voice, and that never really I never really understood it until much later. And even now, I don't know whether I understand it the same way as other people do. But basically, yeah, whatever they say, you have to breathe in to your stomach or around there, because what happens is you breathe so deep that your diaphragm basically pushes all your organs down, which is why you feel like you're breathing into your stomach or your pelvic muscles, but you technically are not breathing into those places because you can only breathe with your lungs, right? Yeah, and they say don't use your throat to sing. Of course you have to use your throat to sing, but the engine is meant to be your abdominal muscles. But there's a lot of contradictory teaching out there. Some say that you have to clench your stomach. Some say that you have to let your stomach loose but push downwards. And I think they're all correct to some extent. You don't want to tense too much, but if you don't use any muscle at all, it's also not going to work. So it's a lot of calibration. And one thing I learned when I was singing with my university's choir is that a lot of it is calibration. It's this thing called I think there's something called the Alexander principle, where they'll tell you to do something to the extreme, like breathe all the way in to your stomach, or maybe to keep your neck extremely flat like this, just to correct how you already sing. Because let's say if you sing like this with your neck forward, it's gonna put a strain on your voice. I can't even talk like that. And so I have to do this. But in the beginning, they might tell you just like push all the way because you're so not used to it. But if you push too much back, you also get more tension. So you have to find this nice middle ground where you're not straining. And there's also, you know, people tell you keep your back straight when you sing, but if you keep your back so straight that you're basically hyperextending it, you're just blocking your airflow in another way, because now your back is curved backwards. So you need to be able to, let's say, lean against the wall, sit against the wall, put your back flush against it, and that's kind of the ideal posture. But it is possible, you know, to learn in different ways, and that's why some people bend forward and all that to keep their backs completely straight. It's just a lot of calibration. You have to keep figuring it out, you know. And sometimes if your voice is too nasal, you don't want to keep it so forward, you want to aim it up. But if your voice is too kept inside because you sing like a caveman, but you think you sound great because you go, you know, you think you sound great in your head, but your voice is kept inside, then you'll want to sing a bit more forward. And that brings me to another point, that a lot of the technique comes down to imagination. You can't really expect to control all your muscles, and when you do, it sometimes works and it's good to experiment, but usually it comes down to imagination. Like things like, you gotta imagine the voice coming over here, like over the head and this way, or you gotta imagine it aiming upwards, going through your head, or going through a narrow spot, or even going through your teeth. All these are completely contradictory, but they all make sense as you do them. Because that's something you learn, that one, it's a lot about imagination, and two, there's a lot of contradictory information out there, but they're not actually all wrong. It's not one or the other. It's some are right for this moment, but some aren't. Sometimes you're so warmed up, your voice is so relaxed already that maybe these things aren't the right exercises for you at the time. You know, so it's a lot of experimentation, what sounds good for you, and it helps a lot to record your voice, I think. Yeah, so yeah, those were the things I learned about pitch and technique. There were a lot more things about technique. I could go on for ages. I could go on the whole day of what I've learned from choir. And I mean, I got into the choir in university, but back in high school, I tried to get in. I was so bad, they didn't even give me a second shot. Yeah, I think I sang Happy Birthday for the audition because I literally came unprepared. I didn't know what to do. And I still do that, you know? But I was lucky that my university choir allowed me in and really taught me so much. And I'm actually going on a tour with them in June. We're going to different countries in Europe. And we're going to Austria, then I'm going to different countries after that. So there was a lot of things to learn, and I also had to learn rhythm. So when I tried to learn rhythm, I mean, one, you have to learn how the different timings work in the staff. They call it crotchets, quavers, minims, whatever. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is that you see if it's black and there's a straight line, that's a quarter beat. So if there's 4 beats in a bar, which is the usual case, one bar will go ba, 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 ba. That's it. And if it's an eighth, which is it's a black like this, and there's a like hat over it, then it'll be, which is a quaver technically. Instead of going ba, 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 you divide into 2, so it's ba, 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 ba. Some, you know, I mean, there's more technical terms like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then if you have 2 of these hats, it's a 16th. So it'll be 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a etc. Then if it's half, which is instead of a black circle, it's a white circle or a hollow circle. It's called a minim, I believe. Yeah, and so what happens is instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, you get 1, 2, or yeah, 1, 3, whatever you want to count. But it's held for 2 counts instead. And you have the whole note, or I think it's also called a semi-breve. I think it's called that. It's basically a circle. It's like an egg, horizontal egg. And it's just holding for 4 of those quarter counts. So it's instead of like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, then it's just 1. That's it. Then that's the semi-breve or the whole note. I probably need to check these when I get back. You can Google them. That's also a huge part of learning, just Googling it, you know? And so that's with rhythm, but those are the easy things. There's also dotted rhythms, syncopation. It's basically, instead of that black thumbs up sign, you'll see it with a dot next to it. And so instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say we have this and it's followed by one of those hats, and the first one is a dot, it'll be like 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and so these are things you learn along the way, and you just gotta follow the hand signs of the conductor, and you learn a lot just by doing that, because you're not really learning on your own, and you learn individual skills. Because if you normally try to sing on your own, you just try to sing covers all the time, what you'll be doing is you'll be learning how to sing, you'll be learning how to run, but you don't really know all the components to it. It's like if I'm learning how to type, and I start off with typingtest.com or Type Racer, where I have to type entire passages, versus learning each finger, how each one works. Then if I haven't learned how to type with each individual finger yet, I'm never going to be able to type a whole passage. Or rather, I can, but I'll build up a lot of bad habits along the way. So I think that's really, the crux of it. And there's other rhythms too, like triplets or duplets or whatever tuplets, which are basically stretching a different value of notes. And you learn those things along the way. I'm still not that great at triplets, but you know, you learn these things. And I remember I had to learn them from this, well, I didn't learn the rhythms exactly. I tried to develop a sense of rhythm from the game Osu, O-S-U with an exclamation mark. It's because I liked anime songs, and it's basically a rhythm game where you click on circles as like this bigger circle surrounds it. Once a circle is the same size, you click it, that's it. It's so, well, it's not easy, but it's so simple in concept compared to, say, Dance Dance Revolution or DJ Max or something, where you have to really have a lot of hand-eye coordination. Well, you still need hand-eye coordination, but all you have to do is click or press Z and X to like click on those items, on those circles with your mouse. So I learned a lot from those games. I never got very good at them. My brother did, but for me, you know, it was some way to learn how to do rhythms. And I guess the crux of it is that we all kind of suck at the start. I mean, no, there's people who are gifted, or they get an earlier start, but I didn't. And I had to learn a lot of things. But one thing that demotivated me a lot when singing, I guess, was that, you know, whenever I sang, it wouldn't be perfect. And that's the truth for a lot of people, which is why it's really important when you get started singing. I think it's good to have some kind of auto-tuning software. And I say this without any shame because I know everyone does it. But, or I mean, I guess in the past when they didn't have it, no. But really, it's, if you're going out and you want to sing on YouTube and you're afraid of not being polished or whatever, then it really helps your self-esteem to have these things to, you know, bring yourself to the next level. And if you really want to get perfect, you can just do the auto-tuning, learn how to use it, learn how to use Melodyne, learn how to use whatever you're using, and make it sound natural. But then, if you really want to, you know, show your talent and stuff, you could just do that to make sure that you know really what you sound like if you were in tune. Because what happens a lot is that you learn the song and you sing it according to what you think is right. But if you don't really tune it and stuff, you won't really know what the song's supposed to sound like in your voice. As I was saying, remember with the piano example, if you're learning perfect pitch, you'll know how a piano sounds like in C if you play the piano and like listen to it repeatedly, but you won't know how a human voice or your voice sounds like when you're singing in C, or how you feel like. So I think tuning is really important. And when I was in choir, I think there was one point where I was made section leader, and I'm not as quick at learning tunes as other people on the piano, and I can't play the piano as well. I had to learn, so I can only play with one hand, and if I play with one hand, I cannot get the rhythm because I can't autopilot with my fingers. So I literally made MIDIs with MuseScore, and it's really easy to learn MuseScore once you know the shortcuts. Just use A, B, C, D, E, F, G for the notes, use N to change note input mode and non-note input mode, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to change the timing. That's literally all you need to know. Just get into it. It's so much easier. Even if you don't auto-tune your own voice, you can make a MIDI to learn the tune, and you know, just keep bashing at the notes. If you don't have perfect pitch like I do, it doesn't really matter. Just bash at the notes until it sounds right. You know, that's what I did. And for scores in teaching my choir tenor section, I had to just transcribe the notes from the score onto the screen, which was a lot easier. So there's a lot of ways to do it. You could like learn it with other people, which you should, because learning perfect pitch is very different from singing with a choir. Because when you sing with a choir, the notes that you sing are not meant to be those on the piano, because notes on the piano are equally tempered, which means that each of them is an equal distance apart, which is essential for a piano to work. But for a choir to lock chords and for sounds to be resonant, the sounds really have to be according to just intonation. So if you Google that, just intonation, you'll see that what happens is if you have a do and a mi, like a do mi, on the piano, that'll be what you call 500 cents apart. So now it's 400 cents, 100, 200, 300, 400 cents apart, sorry. Be 400 cents apart. So one semitone, so that's one white note to a black note or a white note to a white note on the piano. It's just one note to the other. That's 100 cents. Every octave has 1,200 cents because there's 12 notes if you look at a piano. So there's a bit of basic music knowledge you require. And if you sing from do to mi, do, mi, that's a C to an E, that'll be 400 cents on a piano because it's 4 semitones apart, but it's actually like something like 386 cents in real life if you sing it with another person. And then if you sing like do so, which is 7 notes apart, 7 semitones apart, it will be something like do so. Even though it's 700 cents on the piano, it's something like 702 in real life. So what happens is your mi, just to make a simple major chord, which is a do mi so, your do has to be perfect, your mi has to be a bit lower than what it would be on the piano, and your so has to be a bit higher than what would be on the piano. So even though you imagine that whatever you play on the piano is correct, it's not exactly the same, and that's the same with the MIDI, which is why it's so essential to learn it with a good conductor and learn the song with other people with you. So I just hit my earphones out. Yeah, so that's one thing really, but besides that, it is really important to learn what the song is supposed to sound like played on a piano, especially if you're singing a cover song or something like that, because usually, you won't really be able to hear the song notes, and sometimes some notes sound quite pitchless because of the way they're sung. Maybe they're throwaway lines or throwaway vowels. Yeah, so you can't be discouraged, but you can't skimp on the learning. So I think that learning the MIDIs or learning how to use them is really important if you're someone like me who couldn't get pitches naturally or as quickly as other people. Even after learning perfect pitch, it's still something that it doesn't come every time. You have to be paying attention. And if I'm transcribing a song, I will take the YouTube video and I will put it to 0.5 speed. That's how I did my Despacito video for the Hatsune Miku. All that came from learning how to use the MIDI because I had, taught my choir section with the MIDIs. And I used that and I input that into the Vocaloid studio in order to get the Vocaloid songs. So it all really ties together in all these skills. And with respect to rhythm, you learn it eventually, but there are some rhythms that are harder, and really transcribing these songs out really helps you. And it helps you not ingrain bad, rhythm habits like I did, because if you start and you learn on your own, you really don't know what's going on. So yeah, so basically if you want to sing, there's kind of 3 things. There's pitch, there's technique, and your rhythm. But I guess you could say there's also dynamics. So you got to learn how to sing the same note soft, the same note loud, and you got to learn to do it without pushing your voice overly much, without pushing your throat. And with respect to technique, there's also mixing of the voice. Whether you can go from a low note in your chest voice, my low range is really bad, up to, a high voice without cracking in the middle or hiding the crack. That's bridging it or going to the mix. So something like Something like that, you know, where there's not really any track in between. But of course, it takes a lot of time, and I took forever to master that. I wouldn't say I mastered that. It's always getting better. And also, you know, there's also belting where you have to sing high notes with your chest voice, which is a lot of my older covers. Now I can't do that as easily as I could before, but you know, that comes with warming up. And yeah, that's the other thing, you've got to warm up before you sing, or at least like roughly. Even talking can serve as warming up, but you know, you just gotta do it with proper technique. And there's different warm-ups like doing lip trills or humming or a lot of scales. I think a really important thing to know about technique is also that this is something I learned from Ken Tamplin's Voice Academy, that you've got to keep your tongue out. It's something I learned from Adam Lambert as well, but it's like you keep your tongue at the very least right behind the bottom teeth so that you don't tense up. So I will generally keep it there. Even when you talk, you have to try and keep your tongue there. And yeah, you know, there's so much more that I could talk about and that I want to talk about. So this video has been going on for really long though. And you know, I just thought it would be really cool to talk about my journey in singing. And I don't think that's all, you know, because after I learned to sing, after I joined the choir, we actually went for a competition in Vienna. We got gold for it, got it with the choir, and you know, every now and then I would perform for certain events and stuff. I don't think I ever, well, I mean, I thought I was, you know, not bad. Like I sang for Cosfest, sang Attack on Titan, and I sang for one event in Singapore where I sang Bruno Mars. I sang a lot of Bruno Mars, and yeah, there's another thing about songs by people like Bruno Mars. It's that vowels are really hard. It's a difference between singing choir songs and singing English songs, because it's something you realize as you sing choir songs and you sing normal songs, pop songs. It's that English is really hard to sing, because English has a lot of weird vowel sounds like and like ah. You know, you don't really get that like I'd catch a grenade for you. You know, these kind of weird sounds. You wouldn't really get them in any other language. And it really makes it really demoralizing if you're singing for the first time, you're singing your favorite song, but you don't realize that English is really hard. Because in other languages, what you have are pure vowels. You have A, O, E, I, U, or A, E, I, O, U. And that's it. You don't have A, E, I, O, U, which you have in, you know, American English or in British English or whatever. You'll have ah, you'll have you know. And those notes also are really hard to sing when you sing up in the higher octaves. And what you also don't really learn is that there's a lot of vowel modification going on. If you listen to, I think it's really, I think one of my favorite singing channels now is Sam Johnson, who reacts to different different live performances, and he analyzes them. And one thing you learn from there, and what I also learned from Ken Tamplin, is there's a lot of vowel modification. So if you go from like, you sing ah in the bottom range, when you go up, it's gonna transform slightly to ah. It's not really gonna stay as ah. It's not gonna be a full ah. It's gonna be like ah. Especially if you sing in a choir or something. you need to maintain a uniform vowel sound for choir, but in order to prevent straining your voice, you don't want to be singing ah all the way up, because it's really it hurts. Unless you're singing like a Chinese opera song or something where that kind of sound would be good, you know. And so it does depend on the song, but in English or European songs, you generally don't want to do that. This is why they talk about cover. If you listen to Pavarotti's videos, I realize I'm detracting a lot, but there's so much to talk about, you know? Yeah, so Ken Tamplin teaches that if you start with ah, you go up to aw, you go up to and you go to oo. So it's not really that your ah sound becomes oo, but becomes more like oo. It's like an ah, but with an oo sound. When you go up really high, so like ah, like the focus of your voice changes as you go up, because only then can you actually maintain that. So yeah, and things like E as well. If you go up with an E sound really high, you might want to change that to an E in the middle when you're reaching the middle part of your voice. So instead of saying E all the way, you'll be like E. Like in the middle there, like the high part still, it would change slightly to E. So it really depends on like how high your voice generally is to calibrate that part that you want to change. But yeah, it's a lot of experimentation. Same for O, you want to change it slightly to oo or before you go up and then become more like an oo. So if you watch Sam Johnson's videos, you see a lot of examples of this where he talks about how people sing. I can't remember any examples offhand, but where a lot of high middle voice notes or mixed voice notes become like instead of the vowel they originally are. Just listen to those videos. It was so enlightening for me to hear from like an actual vocal coach how it sounds. I'm not affiliated to any of these guys, by the way, and it's just really cool to know that you know, we are not, even though we feel like we're not the best singers and all that, there's a lot of small details that we don't realize that could make us sound so much better. Yeah, and I'm slowly learning these things. Right now I can't really record super high quality covers, and I have my time is being spent a lot at my day job, so I can't really push out a lot of high quality Hatsune Miku things either. Although I have written a Hatsune Miku song that I really want to release as soon as possible, but well, you know, time. Yeah, and I wanted to release a version of the Rising of the Shield Hero first opening with Hatsune Miku, and I actually made like half of an instrumental for it, but I couldn't figure out the timing. Yeah, see, timing always comes back, and if you want to do a Hatsune Miku song, you need to know the exact timing. But luckily my friends today, they actually helped me out with that, so I don't know if I'll be ever posting it soon, because I have commitments and I still have work. So I was really wondering, because you know, every time I post one of these singing videos or something not Hatsune Miku related, my subscriber count drops dramatically. The past 2 videos, I think my subscriber count dropped like 20, 22. But I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk today, and I'm not affiliated with him either. And he was saying, you know, more important thing is to document what's going on rather than trying to pander to every view, every subscriber. You gotta just keep making content, keep making videos. And I thought, you know, since I have so much thought about this, I have so many thoughts about this, and I don't know if I could ever teach this to, let's say, a vocal student that I wish to teach next time. You know, I thought I might as well give some value to you guys and, express my thoughts. I don't know if any of you will ever watch this, but I hope you derived something out of it. And it's getting really late and my phone battery is running out, so I think I better head back. So, hope you guys liked that and hope that you guys got something out of it. And do leave a like and subscribe if you're new here. And let me know if you want me to take a video in the day. But the good thing about the night is that there are very few people out here. So, hope to see you guys in the next video. And happy singing!